Okay, so we are jumping into carbs. Um, and I'm setting a timer because this one's going to be a little bit long. So at 9 minutes and 30 seconds, this timer is going to go off. So whatever we get done within this 10 minutes, if I have to do another one, then I will, because it's just a lot of information to try to get through in a very short amount of time. So I really want to talk today about carbohydrates and also about some concepts of food choices and making food choices. So let's actually start with this. So we're going to start with some factors that actually influence a high BMI. So again, with the BMI, you're familiar with that. It's not a favorite measurement of obesity in my opinion, but I know it's a common one. So, and it is on our InBody. So again, with the BMI, we're really looking more at your skeletal muscle mass versus your percentage of body fat. So those two numbers on that InBody is really more what I'm focusing on versus the actual BMI, which just takes height versus weight. And as you get stronger, again, as your skeletal muscle mass number goes up, and that number being above average is a good thing. As that goes up, BMI becomes less accurate. But again, in a lot of nutrition markets, that's what's looked at. So we're kind of going from that standpoint of some individual social factors and environmental factors, lifestyle, behavior factors that influence that BMI. So environmental factors, cost and access, the availability of food. So for us, really in a Western civilization, not a huge issue as far as environmental factors, other than perhaps, maybe like some fresh fruits and things like that. I know, some people want to go and get like fresh fruit market and get things like that. So when it comes to that kind of accessibility, transportation, it becomes less of an issue for us in the Western world than for in other places. But I think lifestyle behavior factors are pretty universal. Physical activity, food consumption, energy intake, energy expenditure, that kind of area is big for really wherever you are, whoever you are. Obviously, individual factors, your genetics, socioeconomic characteristics, and your individual characteristics are going to be specific to you. So not going to go too much into that, or, your social factors, that's going to, again, vary by individual, family and peer influences, socioeconomic characteristics. But I did want to kind of go over, just some of those, I guess, socioeconomic or sociocultural factors, such as like how you grow. If you harvest, do you prepare your food? Do you have it prepared? Do you have access to healthy choices? I made some notes here. Do you, the exercise habits of people around you, as you'll hear us say pretty frequently, friends and family that stick together. There is some, obviously evidence that people that are exercising with you, when you're in a household where multiple people are exercising, you end up lifting each other up. When one person doesn't feel like exercising, another person might. So that's always a good habit to have, like a kick buddy or somebody that's going to push you when maybe you're not interested in working out and they are. Religious restrictions are another one. There could be religious restrictions on food. One of the things that I kind of wanted to challenge everybody to do and to think about, as far as like thinking kind of outside the box because what you'll find is that you eat the same way. And I know I've found this as well. And I still am constantly trying to think about eating outside of my, I guess, comfort zone. So like Latin America, for example, they have fewer sugary drinks. They have more availability to farmers markets. They have a lot of farmers markets. They have therefore fewer processed foods. More fruits and vegetables are naturally a part of the Latin American diet. More fiber, whereas Northern European is more based in meats and starches. They have more meats and potatoes. They, again, have fewer processed foods as a result. Mediterranean, the Mediterranean diet, which I know was a popular kind of, not a big on fad diets, but to be able to actually dip into that Mediterranean diet, they consider that to be a more heart healthy diet, where it's heavily plant-based, There's plenty of fresh fruits, vegetables, grains, fish, shellfish, poultry, versus the red meat of like that Northern European diet that we were talking about. So, they use olive oil in a Mediterranean diet versus other oils. Middle Eastern. So this is Middle Eastern would be, similar to a Mediterranean type diet. Middle Eastern focuses a lot on lamb, mutton, and poultry instead of red meat. Again, vegetables, dairy is mostly from goats and sheep. An African diet, for example, would have fresh veggies and fruits, whole grains. Yams are big in an African diet. Focuses on fish, eggs, and poultry. They rarely sweeten their food. Again, versus like a red meat, they're doing fish, eggs, and poultry. And then we're with an Asian diet, they're focusing on rice and noodles, fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, vegetable oils, salmon. So they have the Asian diet has a lot of fish in its diet as well: salmon, mackerel, halibut, things that are going to be easier for them. So when we talk about like that socioeconomic or even sociocultural diet influences, that really comes into play. So what I would encourage you guys to do is to think globally and, shop locally. So trying to think of other ways, it could be a fun thing to say, I'm going to really focus on, trying when you're measuring that against that in body, when you're looking at your in body and you're going over a month and you're saying, okay, I'm going to eat a lot from the Middle Eastern diet this month, and I'm going to see what that does. Because again, sometimes eating from one type of dietary arena on a monthly basis makes food more of an activity, more of a something that can be enjoyed and explored versus a chore. Instead of making yourself subject to food, make the food subject to you, and you're, really going on an adventure with food. It's just a mindset as well. It was one of the things that really helped me. So I'm trying to give you guys some ideas that helped me when I was trying to determine exactly how my body reacted to food. So your body, for example, even though that you're in this area, your body might react better to a Mediterranean diet. Your body might react better to a Latin American diet. Your body might react better to an African diet. So it just depends. But it's a great thing to try to explore. And again, to try to think more globally and definitely shop more locally. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about what is the definition of a processed food. So processed food is any procedure that alters food from its natural state. So really when it says, I always say I didn't try to. Eating no processed food is very, very difficult. You better be growing it in your backyard. So there's going to be some level of processing. I try to limit or minimize the amount of processing, but anything as far as freezing, drying, canning, mixing, adding sugar, salt, or additives is processing. So even if you're making it in your backyard and you're canning it so that you can use it all year, that is a form of food processing. So again, the difference is between something that is highly processed versus something that is minimally processed. So paying attention to that minimally versus highly processed. 100 grams of peanuts, something that is not processed, versus 100 grams of peanut butter. Those are two very different ends of the spectrum. So you're having something that's processed versus something that's really not processed unless you add some salt maybe to your peanuts. So some other factors that can influence how you cook and how you eat is access to food and drinks, desirability of food and drinks, marketing too. When you go to the store, you start to realize that there is some marketing that goes on with these foods to increase loyalty. They use labeling, where they place it on the shelf. And, really your individual, so I've got about 30 seconds. So again, we're not going to get a ton into, oh my gosh, we're not going to get a ton into the carbs, but I just want to touch on the carb sheet for just a second. So let me get this up before we go down. So I think, and next time, yeah, we're definitely going to have to do another one because I did not want to go over 10 minutes. So the next time we go over this stuff, I definitely want to talk about, the carbohydrates and some of the, I guess some of the fallacies, some of the bad raps. Carbs are not inherently bad. Like anything else, moderation, managing what it is that you're eating, how much you're eating, and seeing what works for you. Now, here's the thing: how much and too much is going to be varied as much as the individual. So, but you definitely want to get those fruits in there. So take a look at this carb sheet and kind of try to see, what am I working in? What good, healthy carbs am I working into my diet? So I think there's a little thing up here that I wanted to. So fruits, vegetables, legumes, milk, and dairy are all healthy sources of carbohydrates. Not only do they provide you with efficient energy. So take a look at this page 8, and then really look at that. What page is that on? That carbohydrate kickbox detox food list. And really take a look at some of the things that may be on here you've never eaten before, but try to eat, or you want to, that you're not allergic to it. If you're allergic to it, cross it out. If it's something that your doctor says don't eat it. Cross those out, but use it as a way to explore. And then maybe the consideration of thinking globally and shopping locally. Try to find some of those things that might make up those other area diets: the Mediterranean diet, the Middle Eastern, the African, the Asian, the Latin American, the Northern European, some of those diets that you could work in that maybe aren't common to a Western diet, but would be more common to those diets, and see what it does to your own body. See how that changes. Work it in for a month. Maybe pick one of those instead of kind of all of them, because again, that's going to be a tough thing to measure. So I know this has been a longer Zoom. We're going to get more into carbs. I think I'm going to do that one on Thursday. Today's Tuesday, so I'm going to make them a couple days apart. So I'll probably do that one on Thursday. And then if we need to do a third one, I can do it on Saturday. Because again, this was a lot of information to try to go over. I was trying to figure out a way to kind of break it up. But hopefully this gives you a good start and gives you some information and gives you some ideas on how to, again, think globally, shop locally, and get that diet to mix it up a little bit and see what might work better with you. All right. Bye, guys.